Rangers,
Rangers,
all the way,
all the way.
Here we go,
Here we go,
here we go,
here we go.
C-130 rolling down the strip.
C-130 rolling down the strip.
Airborne daddy gonna take a little trip.
Airborne daddy gonna take a little trip.
Mission unspoken, destination unknown.
Mission unspoken, destination unknown.
Don't even know if we're ever coming home.
Don't even know if we're ever coming home.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's right, because he was mentioned he was writing about it because he's writing that book.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, he was talking about that mission. And
Yeah,
watching
he's
those guys.
It was a pretty damn good deployment, man.
Oh, fun.
That deployment made me want to be a sniper after I saw Cabral. He shot a guy off of a balcony. And I saw this body just fold over a balcony and just smack right down in front of me. I was like, damn, I want that fucking job.
That was they had some good missions because we kind of rotated like sniper teams for a while because there was two of us there or two teams there, and then they had that good mission with I think Atterbury and I left like right the night you guys. It was like the chicken coop.
Chicken coop, yeah.
One. Yeah,
where the little bird went down.
Yeah,
yeah. That was the first time I'd ever been shot at that close, and I didn't know what the sound was. I just heard this loud smack. I'm like, maybe my swordings are going out. I'm trying to fix my swordings. And Salzar, you know Salzar?
Oh yeah.
He comes over, he takes me down. He's like, dude, we're getting fucking shot at. I'm like, oh, that's what that noise is. I didn't know what that was. And Atterbury, or not Atterbury, but it was Cabral and Grantham were on top of the roof just swaylaying, some guys on the adjacent building. I was like, that sounds pretty neat. And that's when Straight and all those guys went up there, and that little debacle happened. Little Bird went down, and I got the 48, and forget how many rounds I had to carry. It was like, what is the standard load for the 48?
As a gunner, you carried 400, and then.
Well, you got 200 on the drum, or 200 on the drum.
It was like 150 or something. It was a weird amount, and then you carried another 200 on you as a gunner,
and then you got the assault
team
pack.
Leader had a guy that carried the rest.
Yeah,
is usually how it was.
Okay, we had to run for fucking like a mile or 2 miles dead sprint to go get this down Little Bird. And I got the 48. I'm chucking along, man.
Yeah.
We finally get there, and I see this little pilot cuddled behind this little bush with his MP5, and behind him is this village coming in on him. And dude, Merritt was there. We start opening up on these guys at the 48. We had gunships coming in, just running down some 105s and 40s and all that shit, man.
What deployment was this?
This was an 05, right?
No, 06. I think. Spring of 06, right? Sometime it was hot. I remember it was.
It was right before the 4th of July.
Okay,
that's right.
Time,
yeah.
So,
it was the deployment that Zarqawi got killed.
Yeah. So I did that one, and then
the middle of that deployment, Zarqawi got killed. That was the deployment that second platoon.
That time.
We were in Mosul that summer, summer of 05.
Yeah, the summer. That was the deployment before that.
Okay.
Because that same deployment later on, that was when second platoon in Afghanistan got Sweetwater mission.
That's
got
right.
in that crazy.
No,
like,
I was
30s.
on Sweetwater. That's first platoon.
You were on Sweetwater?
Yeah, I was in Sweetwater. Like Brenner and me. That's when McRae got shot.
Brenner what? Yeah.
What am I thinking?
It was me. Van
no.
Alst.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that was first platoon. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I was in Baghdad with second platoon. You guys were in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And
that was the mission when
that
you
was
guys
Sweetwater.
got
That was
when we
Sweetwater
pretty much
deployment.
walked into a close ambush, and we couldn't see him from the ground, and they couldn't see him from the air. They were dug in so well. I mean, it's their life. Like, this is what they live for, and it was that time when, like, you had your nods on, but it was almost too light for nods. But if you took your nods off, it was too dark.
Too dark, yeah.
And that's exactly when we got hit. We were walking up this dry riverbed, and I think third squad had the lead element, and they just took all of this fire. And McRae got shot in the shoulder. I can't think of his name right now, but another guy got shot in the chest.
Tedesco got shot.
Tedesco got shot through the mitch
and in the chest.
Well, he got shot through the mitch, and then he had swordman's cables, and the round cut the cable right next to his neck. Jeez. And it hot mic'd when it did that, and we were like, "What the fuck's going on with the radio?" And when it cut that swordman's cable, it hot mic until he turned his radio off or something. It was weird.
Jeez.
But yeah, he got shot through fucking Mitch, and then through the Sorden's cable, and then I can't think of the guy.
Edwards
He got shot in the chest and blew off the butt of his shotgun on his hip.
Oh my God.
Like, yeah, and then McRae got shot in the shoulder, and like he
Who was this at Afghanistan?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
The
on
guys
Sweetwater.
ended up killing like 200 some dudes.
Because Recky went back the next day and like went and counted graves and shit, and it was a high amount. I forget what it was, but we had to rot over because they wouldn't come get us during the day because they only fly at night. So we rotted over, and it was us, and I think 2nd Platoon was with us when we were there, because we were up on a mountaintop, and Sergeant Van Alst was with us, and
Is that when you guys were dropping those?
they dropped the sweet
mortars,
bags,
or?
and they dropped that's right.
Yeah.
It was
Oh, the speedballs?
speedballs.
Yeah.
Slusher, you remember Slusher? Mm-hmm. And so it was me, Slusher, Van Alst, and Brenner. We got pinned down by, they called it sniper fire, but I think it was just kind of pop shots. It really wasn't anything direct, but it's when the 3rd squad got pinned down at the beginning of the ambush. And we ran to the other side of the Dry River bed, and we were like in this little like draw, and I had to provide cover fire for McElroy because McElroy got pinned down, and he was like laying under this like dead tree, and the Hodges were just fucking like shooting him, like pinned him down. So they had me, because I had the 48.
Yeah.
So I was like fucking loving my life. It's like my time to shine, you know. It's like, Carmody, you gotta lay down suppressive fire. I was like, oh fuck yeah, you know. So every time I popped my head up, there was like rounds shooting right by it. So everyone else was laying down, and I like popped my head up, and I'd fucking be shooting at that tree so McElroy could and his squad could break contact. But yeah, that's all I remember about Sweetwater. Is like I thought that was so cool, freaking being pinned down by a sniper fire. And Brenner was right next to me. He was my team leader at the time. And every time a round like hit right next to our heads, we looked at each other and we started laughing. We're like, oh, shit. we're stuck now, I guess. But it was just funny. And then Van Alst called for the mortars.
Yeah.
To, what is it, splash in, splash out, or splash or whatever. And so we get up when they run, and we got to run down this hill, and it was like pretty steep, and then it hit the dry riverbed, and then that's where the rest of the platoon was. So I take off, you know, like hauling ass.
With a 48.
Yeah, with the 48, I get top heavy, and I just eat shit. And this is as we're taking fire, the mortars are hitting, and then my ass like just eats dirt. Like I land in the ground, and Brenner, like, you know the little carry thing on the back of your plates?
On your plate carrier.
Yeah, he like grabs me that before I even catch myself, and like I like kind of like crawl my way the rest of the way.
Brenner was crazy on my deployments, man. Or the one, we were snipers together for a little bit. He was crazy, man. Crazy, dude.
We sent Brenner to Ranger School, I think, when we went to Missoula in 05.
Yeah.
He was over there, so it was me and Cabral were the team leaders. And
With Clayton.
And Sergeant Clayton's squad, yeah. And I left you guys. I'm kicking myself now. You know, I left after that deployment to Missoula, and then you guys went
because
to
everyone was like, "Fuck Afghanistan."
Afghanistan, nothing
and like
usually
that's
happened.
we set crazy records. Freaking, I forget the general that was the general of the post or whatever. He pulled us to the side before when we left and was like, "You guys wreck shit while you're here." I mean, that wasn't his words, but summing it up. But yeah, he told us, he's like, "You guys set records, you destroy like," and this like
you know,
all the higher ups like left before we went to Afghanistan because they're like, nothing.
I mean, it was even to the point where like, no one wanted to go to Afghanistan, and it was even like if you had a platoon you felt was weak, that was the platoon you kind of like, you know. And that's actually how in our platoon, the Glory Boys, we were not in high esteem, you know, within certain circles in the battalion. And that was why at least that's what I was always told, is that the reason why they sent our platoon to Mosul the first time, that first deployment, was because like, get these guys out of the way where they can't really get into trouble.
Yeah, but that was the cowboy.
Mosul was cowboy central, man.
Yeah.
Mosul
Awesome.
was.
There was no rules.
It's turned into
no rules,
insanity.
man. Yes, no rules.
Driving down one ways. I remember my first deployment there. I was a top gunner. And I remember
I was a 50 gunner.
Yeah, I was like top gunner, and we had to do these dates. We were up at whatever they call it, Bob Freedom or something. It was weird. We were staying up where the palaces were when we first got there.
Yeah, yeah.
And we'd have to drive down to Diamondback to get resupplied. Mm-hmm. And because there's no airstrip or anything up there, there's a helipad, so like a Chinook could come in, but they weren't going to bring us up stuff with a bird every time. So we had to drive down there. We'd take 4 Jeeps, and all we had was up armored Humvees, and I was a gunner, and we had 240s and 50 cals mounted, but we had mostly 240s just because they're more maneuverable. Mm-hmm. Every time we drive down there, somebody would come flying into our convoy. You were just like lighting. I mean, we were just lighting shit up. And Donnie Forbes shot a van that was like came out of a side street and was heading like full speed right at our convoy. And he shot this van, and it fully exploded.
Like the movies.
Like the movies.
What the
And everybody's like,
yeah.
I thought that shit didn't actually happen. I mean, like fireball, just. And I'm assuming there was probably something in there, like maybe that guy actually was trying to to do a little, because that was their cup of tea around that time was to come the other way, jump the median, and detonate right before they were hitting you head on.
That and they were doing they throw grenades and stuff off the top bridges and.
Oh yeah, that happened to us big time.
Yeah,
that
was my first
Case
deployment.
I was in the striker in front of Caps and
You were in the MEV?
Yeah, I was in the MEV. I was asleep, and I remember we're waiting, we're sitting there, and I'm like, we're sitting underneath the bridge, and I'm sitting there passed out, and Case and I are in there, and the PA's in there, and I don't think there was one other medic.
I think you're right.
And I'm sitting there asleep, and I'm like passed out. All of a sudden, I hear boom, and I'm like, what the hell is that? And I remember the ramp come. We lower our ramp. And the Terp who we had then, what was his name? I can't remember, but he had a hole in his cheek, and there's blood just like pouring out of his face. I'm like,
what happened?
What the hell just happened? And I remember I hear screaming, and I climbed on. Case and I were like, ran over to see. They're like, hey, somebody just dropped a grenade. We ran up by the actual bridge, like closer where we could get up and look on there, and we're looking around. They're gone. The guys are long gone, and we ran and climbed up on top of the striker, and I remember I looked down in the troop hatches, and Lieutenant Fleming's down there, and Cap and those guys, and just screaming, and Sanders is got his hand like wrist deep in Lieutenant Fleming's leg, just shoving like rolls of Kerlex in there. Damn. And there's blood just squirting everywhere. And oh man, I remember that was.
I remember, vividly. I was actually sitting on top of the lead striker of the 3. I was in the first one. You were in the second in that MEV, and then Fleming and Kapichewski were in that rear striker. Yeah, I remember the grenades going off.
D'Onofrio was driving.
D'Onofrio was the driver. Yeah.
And it was
Sanderson was the TC.
That was like, what, 4 days before we were supposed to be going home or something like that?
And it was such a fluke. I mean, the grenade went through the hatch and blew up.
It actually got inside the vehicle.
Yeah, and when it blew up in the hatch, we had those Kevlar plates, those little mats and stuff.
The bomb bags, at the
bottom.
But
when it hit the ground, when it blew up, it shoved the metal plates underneath that through the hydraulics. So the ramp wouldn't lower up and down.
And they had to climb out.
They had to go through the troop door, and the troop door is like this small little door, and you got to like pull a handle down and like squeeze through it. So it was the second the grenade went off, the striker's fire thing went off.
That chick that talks inside
all that
striker?
powder. Yeah. So it was like you couldn't see, like people were screaming and like. The ramp wouldn't lower, so they were stuck inside until they got the troop door open, and then you could barely squeeze out of the troop door, and that shit was a mess.
I remember we packaged them up, and I think we linked up with the rest of the other 6 vehicles or the other 3 vehicles were on the other side of the bridge, and we linked up. I remember Medeiros laying down some 50 cal right in front of a few vehicles.
Yeah.
And I was leading the convoy, and we had to get back to the fob and get those guys to the cache.
Yep.
I remember that vividly.
Yeah.
We were very lucky we didn't lose anybody that day.
Yeah.
We were extremely lucky a lot of the times when we got in firefights.
Cheap ass Chinese and Russian.
Right,
Yeah,
in the
those
fucking
Russian
20-year-old fucking grenades.
Yeah.
But we're actually like walking into that ambush in Sweetwater that we didn't lose anyone. That's almost,
it's unreal.
I mean, a close ambush, like statistically, what is like 60% is like shot within the first.
That's basically like doctrinally that's the most dangerous situation.
Yeah, and like we got everyone, like only one that actually got shot was McElroy through the shoulder, and like it was like grazing wounds.
And it was a separate mission where Joseph took around through the thigh, right?
That was Nyland. And yeah, we because we went back there like 2 or 3 times, but it was me and Brenner. And they had us walk in with, I don't know if it was Recce or someone, and because we were the gun team and they didn't have any guns or something. And so we walked in, I don't know, it was like 20 clicks or something, like whatever they called it. I don't know. It was a good walk. And we walked up, it was like the only high ground there. And we were walking towards the objective house, and they had like a OP set up like over here, and then but they were looking out at the field with their guns, and then that's when like all shit just broke loose. Like, and me and Brenner, we would always laugh about it because we were IMTing through a graveyard. So we're IMTing up to this objective where like we were getting these crazy amount of gunfire from after they took out.
Yeah, so if you get shellacked, there's not.
Me and him are looking at each other. We're like, this is.
You're like shooting from an.
This is way too. I was like, this is way too.
Sounds like a cowboy movie.
We're IMTing through our Iraqi gravesite like right now. Yeah, it was crazy. And then we got the house. And then Joseph was, he was with 3rd Squad, the lead assault. And then after he got shot and all that stuff broke down, QRF came in and the 1st Sergeant and everyone came in there, and we flew out that morning. But yeah, he got shot, and like he's such like a health freak, like Joseph. He's like physical specimen.
I think yeah.
And his bone like healed, like they had to go back in and like shave his bone down because it healed. Like,
well, I mean, it hits all the guys in regiment really hard because you have these guys who are like so physically active, and then all of a sudden it's just.
Joseph was such a good I just remember in Weapons Squad, he was such a good private.
Yeah, he was an outstanding guy. Yeah,
and he would do anything you wanted him to do. That was the thing. It's like that guy would walk through fire and hell and brimstone. You know.
Yeah, no, he absolutely would.
Yeah, but he was with Frank when he got shot because they moved him and Aguirre over to third squad because weapons always had so many people in 1st platoon. We had like freaking 15 guys in weapons or something like that.
You guys.
So they moved 2 of them over.
Yeah, we'd have squad battles. Yeah. Weapons squad would just destroy every other squad.
Choking each other out.
It was ridiculous. We also had Coop, so could take 4 people at once. I mean, at that point in time, that Missoula deployment, I remember I'd go to the gym with Coop. I'm like, I've always been pretty scrawny, dude. Never been super strong. And I'd spot him. I'm like, "Are you sure you want me to?" He's putting up 420 on the bench, and I'm like, he's just.
If you don't get this, you might die.
I'm just like.
I was just like.